What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be playing around with a title that's been in early access for a really long time. It does not get very many updates, but they just pushed a huge one that completely reconfigures the entire game. It's a little space RPG called Wayward Terran Frontier. This is one of those games that was crazy viral like 8 or 9 years ago, and then it just kind of never went anywhere. And I was going through my daily sort of hubbub of trying to figure out what I'm going to cover and what I'm going to do and like what my workflow looks like for the week. And I saw that they had pushed a major update that overhauls the entire game. So today we're going to be taking a look at the entire game and seeing if it's something you wanted to add to your wish list or otherwise pass on. If you've never seen this game before, it's an open world space RPG where you effectively do whatever the hell you feel like doing. There's not really a whole lot of storyline. There is storyline to the game, and there is like a main quest that you can follow along, but it's very much a self-motivated game where you kind of find your own projects, you work on your own things, and then you just keep working on bigger and bigger ships to go out and pirate and fight people and get into scuffles. And so the game just got a major update slash overhaul. You can find a link to the game down below in the description just in case you wanted to get that there. But you'll also find a link to my Discord and my Twitch stream just in case you wanted to hang out live on any given day of the week. Let's go ahead and dive on in. So what are you seeing on screen right now? Well, there was a pirate over here. I don't like the fact that there was a pirate over there, so I knocked out his command bridge because everything in this game is assembled from voxels. All of the ships are made up of little cells, something like Cosmoteer style. And once I knocked out his bridge, I was going to be able to board him and go in through his airlock. I did that. I murdered the pilot who was desperately trying to fix the bridge so that he could get control of the ship. And then from there, I used a Pokeball. This game has Pokeballs for ships. You just saw that happen right there. I went on board, I used a Pokeball, and now I have captured his ship. At any time, this is my little guy right here. You can walk around on board your ship. Every single ship in this game comes with a preset outfit right here, but it also comes with a ship designer where you get to take the actual blueprint or the footprint of the ship and add all of these modules, all of these guns, all of these reactors, all of these conduits and everything else, just in case you wanted to have your own custom loadout. But I went on board his ship and I stole his stuff, and so now I have his ship, and it's worth $80,000, and I can take it back to my ship if I want to. I can take it back to my station. You have a home base in this game. I can deposit it, I can drop it off, I can use it to build up a fleet, I can sell it at a station that's civilian owned. I can do whatever I would like to do with that particular piece of equipment, but you just witnessed a very fast snatch and grab when it comes to the possessions of the enemy. What I'm working on in-game right now is I would like to have a bigger ship, and so I'm going out and I'm trying to gather all the things required in order to make a bigger ship. Let's go ahead and go back onto our space station so that you can see what my home base looks like. The game world in this title is quite large in the sense of scale. Can really only be described as sprawling, but don't really get too excited. There's not really a whole lot out there for you to fiddle around with. There's asteroids to mine, there's the occasional hostile or friendly ship that you can murder and add to your collection. There are quests and there are missions and stuff that you can do out here. There's occasionally going to be a storyline quest, although most of what I've done over the course of the last 5 or 6 hours has been entirely tutorializing. For right now, they want me to gather up 1,000,000 credits, and then I think they're going to hit me with whatever the next storyline quest is. There's my base right there. Let's go out of travel mode and then we'll zoom on in. And this is the place where I live at. The whole place is run by a hostile AI that hates my guts and is really only using me to advance his ends. I found the dialogue in this game, when it occasionally comes up, to actively be hilarious. The dialogue in this game is really well written and kind of gives you a sense of who the developer is, if he's the one that wrote it all. Very sarcastic, very snarky, and also very funny. I've actually really enjoyed the witty banter inside the confines of this game as I've been playing along. I've got to do a little bit of unloading here, and I don't really have a whole lot of space to do it, but I'm going to do some unloading of cargo, and then we'll figure out what we want to do next. Alright, so we're all offloaded, and it looks like our ship has a little bit of damage from that last fight. Repairing the ship is easy. It's also completely and totally done by voxels. You've got a little repair tool right here. You hold down the right click and it's going to show you every single cell of the ship. You've got to get it all fixed up. You can fix it from the outside, but I don't have an EVA suit yet. I've been looking everywhere for an EVA suit and unfortunately have not managed to find one. So let's just head on out into the galaxy. I need to go pick up some more iron ore. I can get it from this shipyard over here. I've mostly cleared it out, but I need ithacit, I need gold, and I need iron so that we can build our new ship, so that we can go out and rampage around and kind of put pirates to the torch and get those bandits taken care of. So let's head on over to this station and get ourselves tacked on in. Now, if you are planning on getting into this game commands a pretty hefty price tag for a game that's been in perpetual early access that doesn't really seem to get updates altogether that often. If you're paying attention, you will note that the last time I covered this game was probably about 2 years ago, and I distinctly remember covering it because it was around Christmas when I covered it, if I remember correctly. I remember the weather being all foggy and nasty and gross, so it had to be the winter season when I was covering it last time. The game does not get updated altogether that often. The developer operates through a private Discord that he's got, and from what I understand, he does do stuff inside of his private Discord. I need this iron over here. I can get another 1100. Alright, I'll take another 1100 ore. Unfortunately, my ship is not built out for cargo hauling right now, so this is going to be a function of multiple trips in order for us to get everything back to where it goes. Oh, look at that, my ship failed to load. It's been doing that ever since the update. It always pops loose, though, and fixes itself, so there you go. I will say on the front end, with the hefty price tag that this game is commanding right now, the current build, I wouldn't say that it's, like, buggy. There's occasional visual bugs that I've come across, like your ship not loading in about as fast as you want it to load in, like we just saw there coming out of the station. Sometimes the interiors of the ship don't load as fast as you would like for it to be snappy when you're transitioning in between locations on the ship. However, that being said, I wouldn't qualify the game as buggy right now, and I say that hesitantly, just largely due to the fact that a lot of the stuff that I've seen from the game so far would be counted as something like menu gore. This game is very, very finicky about the way that it wants you to do things, and every single system of the game functions like this. You can see here the interior of the ship takes a minute to load every time you go in and go out. That's a new thing that's happened ever since they started with a docking overhaul that they gave to the game and how everything functions. To give you an example of what I mean about the ship being fiddly and the management being fiddly, I just jumped out of the airlock. I'm super dumb. I forgot that I wasn't docked. What I did right there, this is another good example of the game being fiddly. So the new game has a system called docking inside of it where you target the place that you want to dock at, and if it's got a hangar bay, you can just press the V key, and it will automatically put you inside of the station. So that you can get to going things faster. The thing is, the game still has the remnants of its old docking system inside of it. Like, you can dock at individual ports on this space station as well. And so for the unloading of cargo, what we need to do is we need to grab the cargo off of our ship. Once we've grabbed the cargo off of our ship, we can put it inside the cargo bay here on the station. Then we need to go to the logistics panel. We need to right-click on the station itself, and then we need to say deposit your resources. And what that does is, I think it puts them all inside of here. Yeah, it does. It puts them inside of here so that you can use them for crafting and building and custom blueprints and things like that later on down the line. Now, where it gets finicky, and this is what I'm pointing out, is were I to take the resources off of my hangar right here and then go straight to here and put them inside of here from my inventory, they wouldn't count as being inside of our resources. Everything in this game follows specific, intricate steps that you're going to have to figure out in order for the system to work properly with the addition of the new docking bay. And so what I told you before is how you do it. You take the stuff off your ship, you put it inside the cargo bay, you go over to logistics, you click on the station, you tell it to unload cargo, and then it'll put it in here, which is effectively the exact same thing that you would have done if you had just taken it out of your cargo in the first place and dropped it off inside of here, but one counts and the other does not. And the whole game is kind of in between these two systems of docking and these two systems of hangar bay manipulation in this current build, and it's just going to take you some getting used to. It's roundabout. It should probably be a lot smoother. It should probably be a lot easier to pull off, but it is where it is. That's where the game is currently functioning right now. I'm going to go ahead and grab the remainder of the stuff that I need in order to build up the new ship that I want to make, and then maybe we'll go out and do some piracy, or we'll murder some people, or we'll generally just cause mayhem and villainy so that we can make a little bit of cash and you can see how the battle functions inside the game with a little bit more of a weather eye from me on how that all works. And actually, while I was cruising throughout the galaxy, I see a piratical opportunity over here. It looks like we've got a bad guy that's just like stalking around the sector. I see red on my radar right now, or on my LiDAR, or on my whatever the hell you want to call it. So let's go ahead and take this guy out real quick. There he is. I see him. He's flying in an eagle right now. So combat in this game is pretty simple. The same way that you build up your voxel ship, you've got turrets on here. They're controlled with right click. Left click allows you to face the enemy at all times, so any place that you left click towards is where you're going to face off your ship. Every single part of this ship can be damaged, it can be destroyed, it can be blown off, it can be eliminated. Right now you can see the enemy's armor and HP listed below. Oh, look at that, we're getting a little bit of backup from outsiders right now. Well, hopefully they don't shoot us too much. I would rather... Did I just get vented into the atmosphere? I just got vented into the atmosphere. He blew off my bridge, and I got vented. Unfortunate. Very, very unfortunate, and I would prefer to not get vented today. But he got lucky with a critical shot and blew off my bridge. That leads me to the next point of this game, is that ships have different layouts, and ships have different designs. And those different layouts and those different designs are going to be important here. Is my ship still busted up, or did it get a free repair? It got a free repair, so that's good. We've been patched back together. Let me get on board real fast and check my cargo bay. I don't think we lose anything when we die. Like, dying in this game is pretty low impact because you don't lose your loot. You don't lose your inventory. You don't lose anything like that, so dying is not really that big of a deal. Really, the only thing that you have to face off with if you die in this game is the fact that you've got to like walk back to where you were, and you've got the time cost as well, because space travel in this game is incredibly slow. It's not very fast, and so it'll take you time to get from point A to point B. I need to get inside of here, and then we need to drop this stuff off inside the cargo bay so that we can build our new ship. It's got its cockpit in a much better spot than this current ship does. This ship right here has its cockpit right in the front, and if you catch an unlucky crit like we just did, it'll blow the front of your ship off, and all of your crew will get vented out into Atmo, and all of my crew gets cloned, and so it doesn't really matter. I can get them back. You can recruit these little crewmen from taverns that are all over town. They have their own little skill trees, although I haven't been able to figure out for the life of me how their little skill trees work, or how you manage their little skill trees, or how they develop as time goes along. At this point, I don't even know if it's implemented, so keep that in mind. I haven't figured out how to get them to pilot ships either, which I've been intensely interested in. But now that we have this stuff here, I should be able to spawn this guy, I think. It says that I've got everything but the Ithacid. Did I not put the Ithacid in there? Cruising back on by here, that pirate that got us also killed off all of the guys that were coming after him. I'm guessing he's got some kind of upgrades, or he's got some kind of aftermarket stuff added on him, because the game does have a little bit of a Diablo bent to it, where there are randomized weapons with randomized affixes that do random things and have random values. And you can get some pretty strong guns in this game. Like, the difference between two different ships that have 150mm hardpoints can be vast. We're talking like the same turret can do double the damage on a different ship, depending on what affixes it has. They can really, really sting. It also ties back on into the skills of the pilot as well, because as you're playing through the game, your character does level up, and you do get skill points that'll make you stronger. And so I think we'll probably grab those right there, like all of the combat-based abilities. Yeah, let's go get that right there, and we'll just make our firepower a little bit better before we match swords with this guy one more time. If I can manage to capture this guy, we'll be in really good shape, because I think he's got really good weaponry on board. The downside there is that I may be repeatedly sending myself to death trying to get this guy, just to make some kind of like foregone point about not liking his face. And so let's see if we can get on in here. We got a couple of shots off on him right there. It's looking pretty good. He's got a long lance on the front of his ship, which is going to be kind of an issue. We want to stay on the right side of this Eagle, because the Eagle has no turrets on its right side. They're only on his left, and I wasn't prepared for that the last time that we fought him. You can see the degradation of his ship modules right now. You can see them right there. If you're wondering what the little white lines are that are on the side of our ship, that's how much ammo each turret has left. The good news is we have Marv this time around, which is my extra crewman. Hey! All right, you love to see it. I don't know. So he's got 2 docking bays. I definitely want to dock and take over this ship if I can. Life support's out. He's got 2 crewmen on board, so they should start to suffocate from here, since we wiped out the the life support. We're also getting some of his turrets knocked off, so that's good. We're just going to keep strafing and praying and hoping that we can put fire on the spots of him that return fire at us. And if we can pull that off and slowly chisel away at what's left of this ship, I should be able to get on board and capture it, or maybe even repair it and scrap it, which would be even better. Second life support is now out. They should be bleeding oxygen pretty quickly. Looks like all of his turrets are done. Now, I'm not going to board just yet. You're not going to get out of here. How is he piloting the ship when he's got no piloting slots left? I am vexed. All right, he's going to pull a runner on us. We got to try to keep up with him. There we go. Let's stay on him, and we need to wipe out his engines. If I can get those engines torched. I think his engines are overheating because we wiped out all of his... There's a device on here called a capacitor or something like that that provides you with heat capacity for your engines and for your weapons and everything else. We don't want to blow off the airlock, though, if we can help it. Now, if you're wondering why I don't just board and murder these guys, it's because what they like to do, if the crew is still alive, which you can see by the little man indicator on the left side of the targeting reticle, if the crew is still alive, they like to camp and just wait for you inside the airlock, and sometimes it doesn't load fast enough for you to exchange shots with them quick enough to actually win the gunfight. They get a bunch of free hits on you, and you're kind of firing blind. And so I really prefer to kill all of the crew before I go on board. That would be my greatest preference. Well, I've got bad news. My guns weren't reloading, and I was trying to figure out why. There's a reason why my guns aren't reloading right now. And it's called... I can dock on this thing right here. All right, let's dock up. I'm going to try this, but I don't think we're going to win this fight. We've got Marv with us. He'll help out with a little bit of support fire. My ship has no ammo boxes because when I unloaded the cargo to get the ore off board... Okay. Reload. We got him. Marv is dead, though. Unfortunately, Marv died in the scuffle. That's going to make this complicated because I need to fix this thing. I guess I could not fix it. I guess I could just use a Pokeball on it. What's he got inside it here? He's got a data core. That's good. Those give you new blueprints for building ships. Decent submachine gun. Not the best one I've ever seen. He's got a Furious 380 autocannon. It looks like it's got extra fire rate, extra damage, extra magazine size, but it's inaccurate. He's also got some gray goo. Gray goo is the basic material that you use in this game for fixing everything. I don't really care about the snacks. So when I break out my repair tool to start fixing voxels here, what you will see is the ammo goes down on it, down in the bottom right-hand corner. That's because I'm using gray goo in order to fix this thing. This game has, like, nanite goo that you use to fix everything, and that's just kind of like their hand-wavy reason why you can repair things with a repair gun inside the confines of this universe. We should probably just capture this thing. It'll probably be much more of a headache to fix it than it will be just to capture it. This thing is pretty shredded. Like, we ate this thing's lunch pretty hard. So if you want to capture a ship and unlock its blueprint, all you got to do is go to the navigation console. You hack the computer, and in hacking the computer, this now becomes your ship. Your crew and everybody else will basically do exactly what they would do on your own ship by actively repairing and trying to fix things as you go along. This ship is also going to have a bunch of areas that we can't get to without an EVA suit in order to fix it. So I think our best bet here is just to make a packing ball. We'll craft one of those, and if I take a packing ball and I activate the device, you'll see everything goes red. That means we've got 30 seconds to get off the ship, and then if we sit here for a second, what you will see if we undock, and also I'm going to suck up all those goodies that are floating in space right there, but if we just sit here, this ship will go zoop, and it'll get gotten into a ball, and it'll get sucked into our cargo hold, just like a Pokemon would, and then we use that from our inventory to fix it back at the station. There it is. We've got ourselves a packed ship, and we're ready to head back to our weather port. Since I don't have Marv on board to help me with repairs on the ship as we're in combat, I will probably just head back. I'll probably just head back to the station so that we can make ourselves a new ship, I guess. Let's see what we got in our data cores here. We've got a blueprint for a tiny ballistic mount, and we got a blueprint for a large engine. Both of those are good. I'll take it. The game does have a research system, so in order to unlock things inside the editor when you're building your own ship, which I'll show you in just a second, you've got to have the blueprints in order to do that. Otherwise, you're just going to have missing stuff. It costs you money in order to learn these. Money is the basic engine by which everything functions inside of this title. So for 20,000 credits right there, we just added a few new blueprints to our overall outfitting menu. And I will go to a outfitting console real fast and show you what that looks like too. So if I wanted to spawn a ship, we could spawn this guy, but you can also do a custom design. And so we'll call this the fart ship. And this is the ship builder right here. It gives you the basic footprint, and then you can go in, you can wipe the slate clean, and you can outfit it any way that you see fit. If you want to add more guns, that's fine. If you want to add more cargo capacity, do it. The world is yours. If you want to add more bunks so that you can carry passengers around, because that's a pretty prominent mission in this game, is that there are passengers that you can ferry around the universe for money. You can create the world's most awesome luxury liner if you want. You can create a mining ship if you want, so that you're not stuck spending your money going and buying ore from stations like I am right now and bringing it back over here. You can just go fetch it yourself by asteroid mining. All that kind of stuff is inside of the game, but this is where you customize ships right here, in case that was what you wanted to do. I'm going to unload this cargo, and now we should have enough to build this ship. Let's do it. A ship has been added to your inventory. Indeed it has. And so we've got our ship right here. Let's have a look around it. So after a whole bunch of fiddling, I figured it wouldn't let me unequip my ship. I think it was like it said that it had cargo in the cargo bay, and I couldn't figure out, it wouldn't let me drag my ship off of here. Normally it just lets you drag and drop ships onto your equip slot, and this right here tells you what ship is going to spawn every single time you do that inside the active hangar. Unfortunately, it was not working like that, but we should have a new ship now that we can play around with. Now, we do indeed. Yeah, we have a hell of a ship that we can play around with now. This thing is gargantuan. Cool, man. Much, much happier with this ship right here. Let's throw stuff in the cargo bay real fast so that I have it just kind of stowed away. And the next thing we got to do is we got to equip this ship before we can take it for a spin. Yeah, look at that big bad Betty right there. Way bigger than our other ship, like twice the tonnage, dude. That's what I love to see. So we've got a whole bunch of ballistic slots and stuff too that I need to customize on this thing, and I don't know exactly how I'm going to get it done, but we'll try to figure it out. Dude, look how big my ship is compared to the station. This is a space station over here, dude, and look how big my ship is. That's just awesome. I love the scale of the ships in this game. They're so big and chunky. Like, it's very, very satisfying how large the ships are. Like, there's none of that stuff where, like, everything is like a fighter or like a small fighter or like a frigate. Like, there's actual big ships in this game, and this ship is one of the smaller ones that we have around. So we've got a hail cannon over here. We can get 4 of those. I don't want the large hail cannon, though, and that's our tiny slots taken care of. Right. And then we've got a small hail cannon over here as well that fits small ballistic hardpoints. So we'll give that a try, and we'll just kind of feel it out and see what it feels like. All right, so outfitting the ship here, there's 2 different ways to outfit the ship. You can either dock through the side over here, and then the ship will be docked or moored around the station. But if you use the V key to dock, like just using the hangar bay, which is the new mechanic with the overhaul, your ship's going to be down here floating out in the middle of nowhere. And if you want to swap out the weapons on it, you just do this right here, and you start throwing in hail cannons. There we go. So now we've got all of our hail cannons in. We should be able to go fight with guys now. Let's get into the cockpit. Let's give this thing a run and sort of see how she does. Freshly stocked with ammunition and new firearms, it's hunting season. It's time for us to go find a pirate and take his stuff. So let's see if we see any red dots cruising around out here in the galaxy while we get down to it and we check out this shotgun build that we've currently got going, and I decide whether or not I wanted to swap over to machine guns. The nice thing about this ship is that these guns are now gimbaled. My last ship, all of the hard points were fixed, which means I needed to face my nose at the enemy if I wanted to engage with them, which obviously, given the fact that my cockpit is a giant protrusion on the front of the hull, makes me very, very at risk of catching a bad crit and getting vented out into the atmosphere. This time around, we've got a couple of inches of armor taking care of it, so I don't think we'll have to worry about that there. But we're also on gimbals, which means that I can rotate the ship around if I want to, in order to face the way that I would like to be faced. There's a guy right there. He's considerably smaller than we are. However, I don't have Marv on board to act as my crew. So, this might get a little bit weird. Let's go ahead and we'll give him a few shotgun volleys. Seems to be working okay, I think. Let's come back around. Give him a little bit of a sprint here. Give him a few more shotgun shells. Looks like his bridge is already out. Damn, we're chiseling chunks off of this guy with this shotgun. Look how fast his ship disappears every time we hit it with a shotgun. Hell yeah, dude. That's what I'm talking about. Get all them goodies up inside my cargo hold. Yeah. I think it's going to be pretty unlikely that we're going to be able to salvage this guy, given what we've done already. But I would like to take him in. I think we're going to have to back it up like a dump truck, though, in order to get on in there. The good news is, despite this thing's enormous size, it does actually have pretty good thrust radius, so we can move this thing around, and hopefully I don't get gunned down trying to do this. I would prefer to not get gunned down. The whole ship's on fire, too, which is all kinds of worrisome. All right, get the rifle ready to go, and if you're ever wondering what airlock you're docked to the enemy with, because there's two airlocks on this ship, it's the one right here that has the big white knob on it. All right, so don't, like, get yourself murdered on accident. There we go. The crew is now dead. It looks like he got the fires mostly put out, kind of. We're going to have to restore this corridor over here, though, to access the cargo hold, which is a little bit of a headache. I also need to put out that fire down there. But for now, let's focus on just fixing what we can fix on this side with regards to the corridor and getting to the cargo bay to see what he's got inside of it. Well, good news is the fire went out on its own, so it must have ran out of oxygen. That's good. Life support's still online, but those shotguns are pretty nasty, man. Those shotguns are pretty disgusting. Those space shotguns really hurt. All right, so we've got some armor. We've got a data core, so that's good. We've got gray goo. That's good. I'm really only going to take anything that has more than 5K in value. Otherwise, it's just not worth hauling out of here. None of the shotguns are really worth anything, so it wasn't that good of a cargo haul. The good news is I have a Pokeball, and so we'll go ahead and capture the ship real quick, too, if we can. I'm going to hack it so that I unlock the blueprint for this ship. Hopefully it takes less than 30 seconds. There we go. That's now my ship, and we've unlocked the whole blueprint, and we leveled up, which is great, because that's going to give us a skill point. But at the end of the day, I think I've spent about 8 hours with the game now on the most current build, and I think it's probably time for me to give off my thoughts before the video gets too long in the tooth. So, unfortunately, my thoughts are more or less similar to the last time we covered the game. So here's what's new about the new update. The new hangar update and reconfiguration is nice. It's not quite new content. Instead, it's changing the fundamental way in which the game progresses and works, so this is actually sort of a genre pivot. Wayward Terran Frontier is now much more of an action RPG than it was before. On previous builds of the game, this was a shipbuilding game first and foremost. It is now no longer that way, and in the new update, it's got a more configured, straightforward, standardized state. And so what I mean to say here is that in previous builds, you were going to be fiddling with ships and moving conduits around and reconfiguring things. It was a hallmark feature of the game, the engineering part of building your own ships. In the current build, you can still do that. It's still in the game. You can still customize, configure, do whatever you want. But in this build, the developers made it so that the focus of the game is a huge volume of pre-configured ships and variants of those ships. Loads of them now exist that you can pick and choose from straight from a ship shop in case the shipbuilding chunk of the game is no longer to your liking or you didn't like it in the first place and has slowed down your progress. There are mech warrior levels of ship variants in this game now. Every single ship seems to have 5 or 6 different variants with different hard points, different guns, different features, and filtering through them all can take a little bit of time, but the vision is much more focused for the progression of the game. Every station has now been clacked out with a mission board that gives you procedural missions to earn money. It gives you something to strive for, stack up cash, and then go buy the ships pre-configured to advance through the game by getting larger hulls rather than building your way through the game using their old research system. As I mentioned, all of the old research systems and customization are still there. They have just now been made much more optional than they used to be. And so from that point, the new build adds a bunch of new upgrading features to both weapon modules and ships themselves, where as you kill enemies, they drop these upgrade kits for guns, for the stats of your ship. You combine those with crafting materials to get permanent passive upgrades to things like your turret tracking, your damage, your shot speed, the acceleration of your ship, your turn rate, all that kind of stuff, and it's random what you get after you splash down most of the enemy ships or when you're searching through derelict stations. You can also add affixes to the guns and whatnot, Diablo style now, that make them perform in different ways that an other machine gun otherwise might not. That's all well and good, and I think that pivot is a solid idea, considering the build your own voxel ship genre in general has a lot more applicants in it than it did back when this game released in like 2016 or 2017. There's a lot of those games out now, and this game is trying to compete with games that have leapfrogged it in terms of progress via having just faster updates. The game now has a satisfying, clear loop to the player. Do missions, pirate, make money, steal ships, do whatever. Use that money to engage in whatever part of the game you like best, be it ship design, customization, a never-ending slew of sort of these random procedural upgrades to that favorite ship that you just purchased that you think you're going to hold on to for a while. And I think that's good. However, the new update is still not without blemishes. The game being in between the two different docking systems that I showed you earlier on in the video, it's pretty apparent, and learning how that works, most of the unloading, and other activities that have to do with loading up your station or moving cargo around or things of that nature, they have very specific steps that you need to follow, otherwise they just won't work, despite the fact that logically, it all ends up in the same place. You'd think you could just drop it in there. No, you have to do it the right way, otherwise the game just does not see it. There are still bugs around from the last time that I covered the game. There are quest triggers that can be a little bit strange in the main storyline plot. Occasional piloted enemy ships will just sit and turn donuts because their AI bugged out and can't figure out what to do next. There are still bugs in here, and many of the things I mentioned the last time we checked out the game are still present 2 years later. And so that kind of leaves us with an 8-year early access game that's pivoting its core gameplay focus amidst a number of other long-standing issues that have been there for a while, combined with a hefty price tag compared to its peers, a very slow rate on update rollouts. It becomes a tough sell. So in a genre so full of great options that there's so many options inside this genre of game that it leaves the consumer with a question like, why wouldn't I just play Star Sector? Why wouldn't I just play Star Valor? Why wouldn't I just play Space Pirates and Zombies, Spaceborne 2? The list goes on and on and on. I could list space games non-stop, there's loads of them out there. Any of the other games that are chugging along faster in their roadmap without the burden of all of those extra buggy issues and pivots and things like that, and that becomes a tough question to answer, because at this point, there are a lot of games out there that have kind of bypassed this game using some of the same similar ideas and sort of ate its lunch out from underneath it. And so that's going to be a question for you to answer. I hope this video was helpful in at least getting you appraised of where this game is at for right now. I do think that the current build was a solid choice and a good idea, and I think it left the game in a better state than the last time that we played it. But at the same time, 8-year early access game, slow update rate, high price tag. Was it enjoyable? Yes, I did have fun during my 8 hours, but I was also equally sort of spending a lot of time Googling, like, what do I do here? What do I do now? How does this work? Is it even implemented? And so there's definitely going to be a barrier of entry to you having a good time as well, learning the finicky ways that all the systems and all of the things happen inside of the game. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, it was Wayward Terran Frontier. Tomorrow it'll be something else. Thanks for hanging out with me, and that's about all I got for you. Bye, folks.